say a man never really knows himself until his freedom's been taken away.
I will always look back on StarCraft as the game where we really found our feet as storytellers.
StarCraft opened up us to the world and the world to us.
I think there was a tremendous amount of excitement at the company that we were finally getting StarCraft 2 out.
StarCraft 2 is one of the best things we've ever done.
It was so important for us to get it right. A lot of players were looking for something more from us as well, and so we felt like the campaign would be an area where we could do more.
Chris Metzen in particular, he wanted to push the storytelling to a new level, something that no other game has done.
I think the legacy of the whole StarCraft franchise, the strongest point is going to be the esports aspect, the multiplayer aspect, the competitive nature.
I think the only way you can really have a esport for a game is if you have a community that loves it.
Seeing him Rain for the first time, like dodge a lurker shot, I'm like, you really can't do that, right? You can't do that. I remember like looking at programmers like, he shouldn't be able to do that, right?
The main goal of Legacy of the Void is this is our final chapter of StarCraft 2.
The fact that Legacy is ending with the Protoss is so fitting because you look at this ancient race and what they embody, and so much of it started there with them, and now everything is coming back full circle.
StarCraft is such an amazing universe. It's been such a part of Blizzard for so many years.
Hell, it's about time.
Please welcome to the stage, Sean Apollo Clark.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you've had a fantastic morning so far. I'm excited. Everybody backstage is very excited as we're about to begin a new chapter in StarCraft 2 with the launch of Legacy of the Void just a couple of days away. Today and this morning, we want to look at the literal legacy of our beautiful game that we've been celebrating for years and years and years. We want to go back in the past and have a look at how it all begun. We want to look at the present and, of course, the future for StarCraft 2.
My first memory of StarCraft is actually one going all the way back to 1998.
When I was a little girl trying to be close to her brother, my brother played a lot of different games, and one of those games was StarCraft.
Some video games over at my friend's place. We had a sleepover, and he boots up his PC and says, hey, I got this new game. It's called StarCraft.
A lot different from other RTS games. All the races were so different.
I saw robots in outer space. I saw spaceships. I saw alien bugs.
I didn't play the multiplayer. I just wanted to play the campaign.
I'd take a lot of days off and pretend to be sick just so I could go home and sit there and play for 8 hours when my parents were at work.
The first thing I think of is being at the LAN cafe, playing against my brother when I was probably about 10 years old.
When I was growing up in school with my friends, we all played Brood War probably for 10 years.
And it wasn't very good. I remember I was just thinking, like, if I just build photon cannons all around my base, I'll be safe.
It kind of became like a daily ritual of playing custom games together, carrier rushing,
controlling the little units. At the time, they were like little ants or whatever, but it didn't really matter to me because I was like, I gotta just show that guy. That was brilliant.
It was like the most amazing, crazy game I'd ever seen.
To think it's come this far in like 10, 12 years is like an amazing thing.
And to start the morning with the discussions, it brings me complete pleasure to welcome some of the best minds at Blizzard. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the president and co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment, Mike Morhaime. Technical Director, Bob Fitch. Vice President of Story and Franchise Development, Nick Carpenter. And of course, Senior Art Director, Sam Didier. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking your time out this morning. Everyone's very excited to get this underway. Legacy of the Void, just a couple of days out. Mike, let's begin with you. Okay. So let's jump into the very beginning. Let's go back a long time now. What was the main storyline going on inside Blizzard when you were thinking about StarCraft 2, StarCraft Brood War, sorry, and StarCraft the original. What was your role at the time?
Well, I was vice president of Blizzard at the time. You know, back then Blizzard was a lot smaller, so we all wore a bunch of different hats. Some of the hats I was wearing, I was sort of in charge of the operational side of things. So I had IT, QA, customer service, and I was also a programmer. So heading into StarCraft, I sort of programmed and produced, and we had just released Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness, an expansion for that, and everybody kind of expected that the next thing we would do, obviously, was Warcraft 3. But the team really wanted to work on something in a science fiction universe, and so that's where we sort of started to decide to make a StarCraft game using, at first, the same engine that we had developed Warcraft 2 on.
Bob, we've talked about this backstage, and there's this story, Orcs in Space, and I don't actually know the full story, and I don't think many people in here know it either. Can you talk to us a little bit about this?
Sure. Well, Mike just alluded to it. We started off by using the Warcraft 2 engine for it, and we took it to an E3. And when we were showing it off, everybody was looking at it going, oh, I know this game. I love this game. This is awesome. Oh, look, there's stars where grass would be. Are you doing Orcs in Space now? Because we had essentially only reskinned the Warcraft 2 game to make it look like StarCraft. It wasn't ready, and we went back to the office, and we were thinking, what are we going to do? We need to do something to really make this thing the quality that we like. And so fortunately or unfortunately, on how you look at it, we were also working on Diablo, and person after person was going off to Diablo until everybody was on Diablo except me. And so I got myself a couple months where I could work on the engine, and when everybody came back, we had an engine that could actually support all the new features that we wanted for StarCraft.
And how did the idea to design a game with 3 races come about?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of lots of minds coming together at the same time. But I was definitely one of them, saying I had just finished doing Warcraft and Warcraft 2, and the two sides are like chess. The pieces were very similar. And when you have them so similar like that, little changes make it completely unbalanced for one side or the other. And I said, why don't we just do more variety in the units? Let's have a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing. And then somebody said, hey, why don't we also do 3 races? And it was obvious which races to do, right? You got Terran, high-tech aliens, and low-tech aliens.
And from an art perspective now, Sam, how do you look at these ideas? Some may even say crazy ideas from the very beginning. How do you look at that and then put an art spin onto it? When you are looking forward at the concept of the races that we know and love today, how did you approach it?
The way we approached the design of the 3 various races, it's very simple. We went with squares, we went with circles, and we went with triangles. So the squares are what? The Terrans, right? Every one of their buildings looks like, you know, giant toasters or refrigerators. They're all very durable, very efficient, not a lot of flash on them, right? So boom, Terran. With the Protoss, we went very circular, ellipses, ovals, very elegant. I know the Nexus was a triangle, I heard that. That was the one exception. For most part, the Protoss were very spherical and elegant. And with the Zerg, we went with triangles. And when I mean triangles, I mean teeth are triangle shaped, spikes are triangle shaped, spines, talons are triangle shaped. And that's the tie then, because the Protoss and Zerg share that ecology kind of, so the triangle on the Protoss showed the tie between them and the Zerg. Boom! There's the lore for it, yeah. Nailed it.
With story development though, Nick, how do you even begin to tell a story? Where did you want it to go? What were your original thoughts? And what kind of story did Blizzard really want to show us?
Well, we had just come off Warcraft 2, and we were starting to use a program called 3D Studio Max, and we knew that we could start creating these movies in this space. And you know, Chris came, he's like, hey, I got this really cool idea. It's gonna be this guy and this girl, they're gonna fall in love. And we're like, yeah, we're just gonna go off and make some cool stuff. And we started making, you know, these different scenes, and he came and he's like, guys, come on, let's bring it back together. I think if you kind of, you tell this story, you over here, come over here, why don't you finish this story? We all kind of came together at the very end, but a lot of it was us all just working together. I think we had Dwayne Stinnett, Matt Semia, Rob McNaughton. These guys were kind of the forefathers of storytelling at Blizzard, of course, with Chris.
And that leads us to talk a little bit about esports, Mike. It begun for all the StarCraft fans in the very beginning, a long, long time ago. When did the concept of esports start to become a thing for you and for Blizzard, and what was that like?
Well, you know, while we were working on StarCraft, we'd gather, we had this big open area in the center of the building. We'd all gather and watch some of the top players on the public ladder, because we could sort of observe what was happening and watch replays and stuff, and watch some of the top level games. And that was a lot of fun. But it really wasn't until I took my first trip out to Korea a few years later and attended an esports event live, where it really just, the magnitude of it sort of sunk in. You had thousands and thousands of people in a stadium. I had never seen anything like it, and they all understood the game so well. It was so much fun to watch along with the crowd, because all these little things were happening in the match, and the whole crowd, their whole mood was shifting as the game was playing out, and it was amazing. Bob was there.
I mean, yeah, Bob, you were there too, right?
Yeah, that was an incredible trip, seeing an auditorium that's supposed to fit 3,000 people. It had that and more. The lanes were filled. There was a back room that was filled. They couldn't get in. There were 2,000 of them standing outside, and then more standing that couldn't even get in the auditorium. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, what kind of feeling does that give you, knowing that you made that game? I mean, you all did. You made this game, and it's been celebrated in such a way that we didn't really ever expect to have happen.
Well, one of the coolest things was at the event, they introduced Bob. They had us each stand up, and when they introduced Bob as the lead programmer of StarCraft, the whole crowd just erupted in a roar of cheering.
Oh, that's right. And yeah, well, you don't think it's real. You're standing there going, really? Are there really thousands of people out there just excited about the thing that I helped make? It still, even now, sitting here, it sort of doesn't feel real.
All right, well. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking some time out your very busy schedule. I know you all do have, for joining us all here today to celebrate the Age of the Void. The release is only a couple of days left to go. Thank you for your commitment as well to making these games that we all know and love. We've heard about StarCraft 1, but let's turn our attention now to StarCraft 2.
When StarCraft 2 came out, that was one of the biggest moments of my life.
I mean, don't tell my girlfriend, but like we had a kid, and I don't even think that announcement was as big.
I actually bought the beta on eBay, so I could have it day one.
I remember that I had to download the trailer, and took about an hour because it was so many years ago, and my internet connection was really bad, really slow.
I always wanted to become a programmer, but it felt like we got internet too late.
Everyone's talking about it, and I was like, wow, okay, so I guess this is my future, right? I can't wait.
We figured maybe this is it. Maybe this is where, you know, the non-Korean scene gets a game that can get things going.
It's insane to think about the strides that the game's taken, not only, you know, as a game, but with me through life.
It grew so fast from there. You know, that tiny little 80-person crowd suddenly became thousands.
Following the scene and making so many friends, it's not really something I could, you know, properly put into words.
And I just remember feeling the crowd's energy. I was standing right at the front, ready to interview the winner of whoever it may have been. It was so magical and electric, and I will just never forget that moment.
StarCraft 2 has influenced my life more than anything I can think of.
All right, StarCraft 2 time. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome two very good friends, Dustin Browder and Chris Siggety. Welcome, welcome. So, Dustin, let's start with you. We've heard about how esports was a major and an expected part of Blizzard in the very early days. How much did the concept of that play into the design and thought processes, which you obviously put into StarCraft 2?
It was absolutely controlling for us when we set out to make this game. I came to the StarCraft team in 2005, and I was sat down on the first day and said, okay, we're going to make this game called StarCraft 2, and it's going to be an esport. And I said, I guess that's pretty cool. Like the thing in Korea that we've all heard about. Because I hadn't really seen a ton of that, elsewhere in the world. Like, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm like, is that a big deal? I'm like, maybe, I don't know. Someday it'll be cool. And so the team had this very brave idea, and I don't think everybody here will remember really how big esports was, say, in 2005. There were places in the world where it was bigger, but in a lot of places it wasn't that big a deal. And there was a lot of people trying very hard, but it wasn't exploding like we see it doing today. And so at that time, this creative team on Team One that builds this game says, we're gonna make this a thing. We're gonna put all our eggs in this basket. We're gonna all in esports, regardless of the fact that it's really not that big today, but this is what this game is gonna be about. So everything we did in StarCraft 2 was really about trying to set up esports in the best way we could possibly imagine. And I think the results have been absolutely incredible, watching StarCraft 2 be such a big part of the growth of esports in the last few years.
And of course, with that comes a lot of opinions when you open yourself like that, from the community, from people in this room. How does that affect things for you, Chris? I mean, we all know that the StarCraft community is a very passionate one and a very opinionated one. How much did that influence your game design?
Significantly. I mean, I'll say here, I believe that the StarCraft community is the best community in the world. It's all you guys. And I mean that sincerely, and it goes back to the original StarCraft, it surprised us with the reaction to StarCraft, and then to have that parlay into what StarCraft 2 is today. We can't help but listen. We need to listen. It's critical to the game. I'm super excited to start a new era of listening, in fact, and we're doing it, with the beta of Legacy of the Void, but it's coming here at launch in just a couple of days, and we know there's going to be a lot more to come here, and I'm very excited about that, and that relationship with our community, how we listen, how we react is critical to that.
And with Legacy of the Void, let's look at the story a little bit more now. How much of the original story has actually survived coming into Legacy of the Void now?
A surprising amount actually has made its way forward. When I joined in 2005, almost 10 years ago now, Chris Metzen and Nick Carpenter and a lot of the guys, Samwise, who'd worked on this stuff, they had ideas for this story going back to 98, 99 that had carried forward into 2005. And so a huge chunk of what they had originally planned, I think, back when they were making Brood War, ultimately has carried forward through to today. There's obviously been some editing as they've done, and some ideas have changed a little bit, but the bones are absolutely the same experience for what they initially planned back in the day.
I'm sure all of you, I hope, have played the campaign of StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm. So, obviously you've got a lot of people who have played that story, Chris. What's the difference now when looking at the people that have played the campaign? How does that cross over looking at working with the multiplayer aspect?
It's actually a real challenge with StarCraft in some ways, because we effectively do make two different games, but they, of course, tie together. You're getting some learnings by playing the campaign, but you ultimately need to, if you have those bones and you want to get into competitive play, you need to learn this more specific way of playing the game. But for the most part, everybody that does move over into super competitive play, playing on ladder, that sort of thing, they play the campaign as well. They're very familiar with the story. There's that. So it's a payoff both directions, but it is really two different focuses on the team.
All right, so let's move on to the last question now for both of you. Chris, let's start with you, and then Dustin, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. What are you most excited for with the future of StarCraft 2?
Well, I'm so excited about Legacy of the Void landing. Legacy of the Void has been a ton of hard work. I think it's our best effort yet in StarCraft 2. The team, I'm super proud of what the team has put together, and it's coming in 2 days. But if I had to pick one specific area, it is StarCraft 2 multiplayer. It's hard to say. The campaign's a baby as well. But why I'm so excited about it is, to me, Legacy of the Void represents basically the equivalent of Brood War to the original StarCraft. This is where all the component pieces are now there. The game is very different. We're about to see it kick off into our most invested in and our most exciting year ever in esports around StarCraft 2. And I'm just so excited about that journey. We are on the brink of this, I think, this true beginning for StarCraft 2 with Legacy of the Void's multiplayer. And so that would be my choice.
And you, Dustin?
Well, you know, we're living in a world that's very different from the world when we started StarCraft, the original StarCraft or StarCraft 2. We're living in a world where we can do digital content, where we can add things to this game whenever we really want to. We don't have to wait for the next box, which I think is what a lot of us in the StarCraft community are used to. You know, we've shown some stuff here at BlizzCon this year, which I think is awesome. And I think there's lots more stuff we can do. We've received a lot of great feedback from the community, ideas they would love to see go into the game. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to keep adding to StarCraft for many years to come.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Siggety and Dustin Browder, thank you for joining us. It's time to move on to the next one. And I'm very, very excited for this one. And let's go to a quick video before we go into this one. The next one is going to be talking more about esports.
Being a pro gamer, in a lot of ways, is just little steps. Well, to be honest, I still can't really believe that I'm doing what I'm doing. I never had the intentions of becoming a pro gamer or something like this. It just kind of happened. You eventually play at a LAN and hopefully you win it, but usually it takes a few tries.
And it was just amazing to represent my country, who was never known for being good at this game.
People say, oh, you are useless or something like that because you play video games. But I'm fighting versus this and showing the people you can do this if you want.
Competitive sports as like a competitive sport that I've been wanting for ever since I hurt my knee playing football, you know.
Being able to win in the moment feels unlike anything else after all the practice that you've put into it.
I think that StarCraft 2 is the most complex, highest skill cap game out there.
You know, there's that tension of who's going to be first, because one mistake is all it takes when you're that caliber.
This is difficult, and this takes dedication and takes practice, and what we do is not something that anyone can do.
So my parents didn't tell me that esports existed in Korea, and we found the gaming channel at night where they were playing this Brood War match, and I was like, that's StarCraft. Like, they're playing this on television, and it's freaking crazy.
Joining us now on stage are some very good friends of mine, and I'm sure all of you know about them. We're going to be looking a little bit more in depth and discussing the very beginning of competitive StarCraft, and not just StarCraft 2, but StarCraft Brood War as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for In Control, Tasteless, Artosis, and Day 9. Hello, boys.
Hey, Sean.
Good to see you again.
Man.
You haven't been too far away. Let's jump right into this one. You all, four of you, played Brood War. Not sure what that was. Didn't sound too good, but all four of you have got a lot of memories playing Brood War, each of your own story. Sean, I got to start with you and Nick. Talk to us a little bit about growing up, both being brothers, both playing Brood War. Talk to us about that, living in the same room, sharing the same room, playing the same game.
Being brothers.
Being brothers.
Having the same mom. Well, we walked to the mall one day to a store called Babbage's. I don't know if you remember this store. Babbage's fans in the crowd. Give it up, guys. Give it up for them. And we bought StarCraft, and the internet hadn't been invented by Al Gore yet, so we plugged our two computers into each other and just started to play StarCraft against each other like every single day.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think initially we only had one computer too, which was horrible because we were always fighting over who got to play. But it was one of those games where you start playing it and you just don't really stop. You'll go buy another game like at Babbage's again, and you'll play that for the weekend, but you end up going back and playing StarCraft. It's just too enthralling.
Who played the most?
Oh, I don't know. I have
no idea.
Exact equal. They both played exactly equal.
Yeah.
I mean, but you never ran out of that what if. Like, ooh, next game, what if I did this? Because we played every single possible competitive game that we could get our hands on, and you'd play it for a week, and then you'd go, all right, we're done. We know the best character in this fighting game, but that never happened with StarCraft.
All right, Jeff, competitive Brood War player for a long, long time. Back in the day, what did you aspire to? Did all the roads that you knew lead to Korea?
No, I think that's what's so crazy cool about StarCraft is that, especially back then, there was a pro gaming scene, and there were people that were doing incredible things in spacesuits half the time. But for us, like, we just loved the game so much that it kind of took a life of its own. I don't think any of us actually sat down and were like, okay, today, after these 30 games, I'm 20% more pro gamer than I was the day before. Like, it was just, I wanted to yell at Dan, I wanted to be yelled at by Idra, I wanted to play these games and have a great time, and eventually people started kind of paying us to do it.
You did move to Korea, though, in 2009, 10, 8, 2008. What's the competitive environment? What was it like then compared to now?
I mean, StarCraft 1 obviously was the only game back then, but basically the foreign scene didn't have any money behind it. It was all about your passion, but still everyone played all year and didn't quit and played just as hard as we see nowadays without any sort of money on the line. Korea wasn't really that much different. It was a little bit bigger over there back then, but I mean, it's always had like a very hardcore base at its center.
Mick, I mean, same question for you, really. You also picked up your life and moved to Korea for the love of StarCraft a long, long time ago. What was it like for you moving over to Korea and noticing the differences then compared to now? We have esports and StarCraft all around the world.
Well, I mean, when I moved to Korea, it was almost out of necessity. I was having like kind of an existential crisis about like, how can I take this game that I really love and actually do something with it, like as a career? So when I got down there, first of all, I was blown away by just how huge it was out there. What's different now is overseas, everywhere else, like here at BlizzCon or any esport event I go to globally, it's now getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which is really exciting. The rest of the world is becoming more like Korea.
And in Control, it must be a pleasure, of course, to be working BlizzCon, to be here. And, you look at the people that have showed up today to support and celebrate Legacy of the Void, thinking back to where it all begun and looking at this beautiful stage that we have in front of us. It must be a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell the humble story of our beginnings. Like to go back to even them, they slept on floors in Korea. That's how much passion they had to go over there and do it. And I think that's incredible. And you ask about BlizzCon, this is a bit of a confessional moment for me. I'm really proud you asked that because, Mr. Morheim, I owe you like 5 BlizzCons worth of tickets because I definitely snuck into the first 5. And Nick and Dan were casting and we were like, can we sleep on your floor? They're like, yeah, get in here though, come on. So there's definitely, like BlizzCon for me is this gigantic passage of like, this was the mecca for StarCraft. This was the mecca for what I believed in and loved with all my heart, so much so that I would literally sneak in and not pay a dime. And then now, the irony is they're paying me to come to BlizzCon, which I think is pretty cool.
Day 9, we're about to start a new chapter in StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, just a couple of days out. How do you anticipate esports changing moving forward in the next couple of years?
Well, I mean, the big thing that's exciting when you look at a game like Legacy of the Void is it's new tools and new toys. I think about the way that like Magic the Gathering has like more cards coming out so the meta shifts throughout. I mean, that's what everyone's so excited about with Legacy of the Void. And that's really the same thing that happened when StarCraft 2 came out from Brood War. It was kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously you're getting money and building units, but everything is so subtly different, but it gets magnified on this massive scale when you have millions of people all looking at the same tool set. And it just becomes this explosion of creativity and expression and newness. So really for me with Legacy of the Void, I'm really curious to see like what are new strategies that are coming, people getting excited, seeing what a pro does and going, ooh, that gives me an idea, and then going out and laddering themselves. So I mean, I just can't wait to see the ways that people are going to explore the new tools.
And Dan, what do you think about this subject too?
About Legacy of the Void and how it changed everything? Well, I mean, Legacy of the Void seems less like a new expansion, more like a new game to me. Like, the amount that it seems like it's going to shake up StarCraft 2, everything is different, like making it more fast-paced. Like, there's no empty early game, which makes me worried about my and Tasteless's jobs, because that's half of where, we do our good work. But, it's such a new game, and the units are going to be so different, so much more action-packed it seems now. So I'm really excited to see like how this changes everything. Is it going to become like StarCraft 2 is more strategy-based than StarCraft 1, which is more mechanical, but it seems like we're going down more of like a micro and multitasking type of route now. So the whole feel of the game to me right now seems different, and it's like a whole new title.
All right, and in Control, you played some Legacy of the Void beta yourself. You excited for the release?
Absolutely. I really think that Heart of the Swarm is an improvement on Wings of Liberty, and I think Legacy of the Void is an improvement on Heart of the Swarm. And I think we are playing for and with the best community on planet Earth. I think we're playing the best damn game ever made. And I think it got even better, and I'm really excited. I think if we're going to go into the future with kind of the last installment until they make the next one, perhaps, I want it to be the best version it's been yet, and I think we're there. It's amazing.
All right, thank you very much, Jed. If you just hold there for 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, in control, Day 9 Tasteless and Autosis. Of course, esports is exciting for all of us. It's a massive part of our StarCraft experience. But the community has a vital role and has a key part to play in all of this as well.
The community has had an absolutely incredible role in keeping StarCraft going throughout the years.
Without the hardcore community backing up StarCraft 2, I don't think it would be where it is today.
I mean, if there's nobody to talk about the events or talk about the games, then the game just dies.
It's become a network of friends, people that I look up to as role models.
I really enjoy that aspect of the game where you get to play with other people, chat with them, you share the same passion, you go to all these events.
Without the community, a game can't develop. The community always gives great feedback.
For us to be able to work together with Blizzard and, you know, really make that ultimate gaming experience happen, it's pretty awesome.
And I think it's what drives the competitive scene to stay as fresh as it is.
It's really those people that were willing to tune in the middle of the night and support every tournament.
I'm create content for the community. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for the game. I'm doing it for them.
I find community content very enjoyable. Like, I love reading articles because I really love, you know, like trying to learn as much about the players as possible.
I love fan-made videos. I like, you know, humorous videos. I like serious content.
I really like the silly videos, you know, the cardboard animations.
Not a lot of people can say that they work in a space where they're able to do what they absolutely love.
When I started playing StarCraft, that wasn't the kind of things that you tell to your classmates. 10 years later, I'm like, this is my job, and I enjoy every single day.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. There's a couple more segments left, and this one is an exciting one. Have any of you seen the Legacy of the Void cinematic? Any of you watched any cardboard animations as well? Okay, you're gonna like this one then. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the project director of cinematics at Blizzard Entertainment, Ben Day, and also from Cardboard Animations, John Burton. Welcome, welcome to the stage. John, let's begin with you from Cardboard Animations. I've watched a lot of your stuff, big fan of all your work, and by the sound of it, I think everyone in here is as well. As a community content creator, tell us a bit about what you do and how you got into making content for StarCraft 2.
It's kind of difficult, I guess, but I just kind of wanted to do my own thing with animation and stuff like that. And what I do is I create StarCraft cartoons on YouTube. And I just kind of gravitated towards that because I like to, I don't know, create stuff. And StarCraft I was playing it a lot at the time. And yeah, so I just gravitated towards that and I chose a style and I went with it, I guess.
And you've always done parodies of Blizzard videos in the past. And from what I've been told, you have a new one for us today. And you're going to be looking at the Legacy of the Void cinematic. And it's going to be the first time we're going to see this. And sitting next to you is the guy that made the cinematic. How do you think he's going to react to this? You're about to play a version of his video.
He's going to notice that the graphics in mine is a lot better. and the plot is much more rich and intricate. Yeah.
I think this is going to be good. So, without further ado, I think it's time to have a look at the world premiere of the new Cardboard Animations. It's a spin-off of the Legacy of the Void cinematic. Let's take a look at this unique video.
The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our proud people became refugees. And yet, they could not shatter our unity. For we are bound by the Kala, the sacred union of our every thought and emotion. Today, we retake our homeworld, and with it, our legacy. The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our proud people became refugees. And yet, they could not shatter our unity. For we are bound by the Kala, the sacred union of our every thought and emotion. Today, we retake our home world. And with it, we retake our home world. We retake our home. We retake. I am one. Ouch. That hurts.
Well, what can you say to that? That was absolutely fantastic. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess the natural follow-up question, Ben, what did you think of that?
First of all, I'm a big fan of John's work over the past couple of years, and I love it. I love it. I mean, the probe at the end, it was awesome. My favorite moment was the Archon, seeing. I knew you were gonna call me on the timing of everything. I knew it. It's in the back of my mind when I'm making it. I thought maybe I can take some artistic license on that one, but thanks for calling me on that.
John, it must be a great feeling inside to have all these people in here watching your video for the first time and cheering from the very opening image of cardboard animations all the way through.
It's overwhelming. The power is overwhelming. Yeah, it's very amazing. It's very amazing.
Let's, Ben, let's get a little bit more serious now. The work that you do, obviously there's so much work that you actually put into making these types of videos and the long development cycle, of course. What would you say is the most challenging part of what you do in the development process, especially when looking at the Void piece we just saw?
Well, I mean, it's a tough question because everything about CG is hard. You know, it takes a lot of artists, a lot of time to put something complicated on the screen. So for this show particularly, I think special effects was one of the bigger challenge because there's so much of it. You know, every single shot got something going on, anywhere from the slow motion bangling explosion to the formation of the Archon. The Archon was particularly a hard thing to do because there's no reference out there that we can look at. But you know, the artists did some really amazing job on this project, and I'm really happy the way it turned out.
How long would you say that it takes, you know, from the very beginning of, okay, this is what we got to do, this is the finished project? How long would you say that is?
The actual production probably takes about a year. It's a little longer with the conception of story ideas and stuff, but you know, roughly about a year.
John, what about you? How long does that take?
About a year, yeah. It took me less than 2 weeks. Yeah.
He's been kind.
Let's move on. I thought that would be a good question to ask. As a community content creator, what would you say is the most challenging part of your creative process?
We've been doing it a little over 3 years now, and I think the challenging part is to keep it fresh. I don't know why people continue to watch half the time, but we do our best to keep it fresh and entertaining. And I think really what it is we really feed off player experience. So, and we take that and exaggerate, and it's always funny when it's happening to somebody else, you know, all the bad stuff. So we kind of portray that, and that's kind of what we aim for.
All right, well, thank you very much for taking some time up here on stage today. I think their all work is awesome, and I hope you guys continue to produce the content that we all love in this room. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, we've talked about the past, we've talked about the present, which leaves one way left to go. We're going to come back in a quick second to talk about the future of StarCraft 2.
I think Legacy is a huge turning point with StarCraft 2. It's a point where everyone's so excited because Blizzard's putting this massive focus on it.
I'm sad at the same time because it's the last part of StarCraft.
The current story arc is going to be coming to its conclusion finally, and I'm intrigued to see where they decide to go with it.
See where everything lands with Raynor and Kerrigan.
But the cool thing about StarCraft 2 is the lore never ends, right? I mean, it's made to continue on.
You know, we're thinking, oh, this is the end of the trilogy, but at the same time, we're still looking forward to even what comes after that.
The fact that it's the final StarCraft means that this is the game that we have. This is kind of like our Brood War.
We're all the same sort of fan that's, you know, trembling, waiting for the release, super excited to see the game and play it ourselves.
If Blizzard is the best at any one thing, it's going to be perfecting their games after they first release it.
And you know, they tell us that they're going to keep working on it, the devs are going to keep working on it, and I'm very confident that it's just going to become something really beautiful.
And from here on, we are going to become better as players, and hopefully the game is going to grow also together with us.
I'm definitely excited for it, but it always comes with a level of anxiety attached.
It's a scary but also exciting jump to make. You know, they have to relearn so much to be able to stay on top of their competitive edge.
This is going to be a new game. Am I going to be the next big thing, or am I going to slump?
You're going to get to see people who take to the game so much easier than the previous iteration.
That means that the pro gamers in the game will be always raising the bar that much higher.
You know, as difficult as it is, that's what these guys live for. The challenge, the thrill, and it's just another, you know, stone to climb on their way to the top.
I'm just really happy to be able to continue playing the game that I love.
All right, so before we talk to our next set of guests about the future of StarCraft 2, I know some of you have kind of walked in during the show. There are side blades, maybe you've already noticed, but there are side blades underneath your seat. So we're going to be using these a little bit later on, so just that you're aware, you can blow them up, you'll find them maybe in a seat next to you if you haven't got one under yours for some reason. But now it's time to talk about the future of StarCraft 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome some very special people. Welcome to the stage, lead multiplayer designer David Kim, assistant art director Alan Dilling, writer Valerie Watrous, lead designer Jason Huck, and lead game producer Tim Morton. Welcome to the stage, everybody. Okay, Tim, let's start with you on the end over there. Legacy of the Void is launching in a couple of days. We're all very excited for it. What does that mean for you and your team? And is this the final note for StarCraft 2?
As much as Legacy of the Void is a huge milestone for the StarCraft team, I'm really excited that the team is going to continue working on StarCraft. And we're going to add more content and more features to all areas of the game, including multiplayer, including our new co-op modes, and including single-player campaign. Here at BlizzCon, we announced Nova Covert Ops, which is going to be a series of mission packs that we release with new campaign content focused around the character Nova.
And that leads us into you, Valerie, because you wrote these. So let's look at this. The team's made the announcement for the next segment with the Nova Covert Ops, but what about Nova made the team want to continue her story?
Nova's always been a favorite character of ours on the team. She's smart, she's tough, she's got a pretty good sense of humor, and just this amazing, rich backstory that we could draw from as we push her forward into the turmoil that is affecting the Terran Dominion at this point in the plot line. So we really wanted to take a look at that. It's been a while since we visited the Dominion in Wings of Liberty. And we wanted to give a little peek into what's happening with those characters. And Nova was just a great chance to do that and allow us to tell a story that was a little more personal in scope, not about the galaxy and the cosmos at stake. It was a chance to spend some time with one character and maybe take a darker, more gritty look at the StarCraft universe.
Which leads me naturally to ask, what's the gameplay going to be like, Jason?
Well, for us, it's really exciting to focus on just what it is to be a ghost in the StarCraft universe. So, like, it's gonna, playing around with all these new abilities for Nova and these new weapons and everything. So, exploring that space is just gonna be a real great challenge for us, but also a lot of fun.
Can you talk a little bit about the co-op missions as well that's coming?
Yeah, so that's a great new mode that we're adding with Legacy of the Void, and we've got 6 commanders. We announced a 7th one here at BlizzCon, Karax, who's a Protoss character. It's in the campaign. It's if you haven't played it, it's on the floor. Totally play it, and we'd love to hear your feedback.
And will you be looking to add new maps as well to this?
Yeah, we're going to add new missions as well. We have a new mission. It's actually a cooperative version of one of the campaign missions from Legacy of the Void, and that's going to come out shortly after the release of the game.
Okay, so let's talk to you now, Alan. Welcome to the stage. On the art side of things, how do you feel your team's going to continue to push boundaries with a game like StarCraft 2?
Well, I've been here for all 3 StarCraft games, and I've seen each one. We kind of raise the bar, and we hone our skills, and we learn from our experiences, and really trying to push the edge and get that, AAA quality that the Blizzard fans are used to. And I think Void is no different. You guys will see in a few days how much better it looks, even. But already, it's kind of weird to talk about that because we just finished a few months ago doing art for it. But already we're knee-deep into the Nova missions, and those look even better already. So I think a big challenge for us is to take over these 75-plus missions we've had over the years. We're going to revisit, space maps and Protoss Temple Ruin maps and things that are kind of similar in nature. And a challenge for us that we embrace is how do we make those things unique and how do we make them stand out, make them really memorable. And that's something we really have fun with. It's a good creative challenge.
So with all this new content that we're all expecting to see now and is coming to us, can we expect the same quality of story-driven cutscenes that we're all used to in the campaign?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, you guys will see with Void in a few days, the quality level is just amazing for the in-game cutscenes. And the guys worked really hard. You saw the teaser trailer for the Ghost missions. They worked really hard getting that done, and already it's looking better than ever.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it's time to talk to my best friend, David Kim. You're a famous man, David Kim. Talk to us about the future of competitive multiplayer.
Yeah, so for multiplayer, we believe that Legacy of the Void is really the beginning of something really amazing because we have a lot of lessons that we learned by developing Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and we especially work with you guys, the community, to make Legacy of the Void as awesome as possible. So like we talked about throughout BlizzCon, we have a lot of new features coming, such as ladder revamp, separate MMR per race, improvements to the automated tournament system, and so on. But not only that, we also mentioned there's a possibility of doing complete redesigns to existing units when needed, and also potential for adding new units to the game when needed also. So we feel like this is the true beginning, and it's very exciting going into Legacy of the Void.
Okay, so thank you very much for all of you coming here today, and I hope you've enjoyed the little presentation that we put on for all of you here today as well as we get closer to the launch of Legacy of the Void. Not done yet, though. So let's move on to the last part here. As we conclude, I'd like to welcome back all of the Blizzard folk that you saw on stage today, back on stage to help us usher in a new era of StarCraft 2. It's a good time to get those side blades ready. And I think we have one final person left to bring out. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise in here for Mr. Sam Wise Didier.
Raise your side blades to the sky, BlizzCon! There's a lot of them. All right. That's coming soon. As you know, we are releasing the last chapter in the StarCraft II trilogy, The Legacy of the Void. Are you excited? Fantastic. We're gonna need you all to help us bring in this momentous occasion with a little bit of a vocal demonstration, okay? Let me hear you all say, Entaro Adun! Wow, you guys don't need any more warm-up, but we're gonna keep doing it because that's how I planned it. Let me hear you say, Entaro Tassadar! Okay. Now we're gonna keep having these side blades raised to the sky or the auditorium roof because we are gonna be taking some photos. I want this photo to be awesome, okay? So the last of the warm-up will be Entaro Artanis! All right. So here is the best Protoss battle cry, in my opinion, okay? BlizzCon, let me hear you scream, my life for ire! My life for ire! Last one, BlizzCon, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3! My life for ire! Thank you, BlizzCon!
Excited as we are. That's us done here on stage for the presentation. But remember, what's coming up next is the World Championship Series. 4 players remain. Today, we crown the 2015 World Champion. Who is it going to be? We're going to find out within the next couple of minutes.